Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm trying to get in these comments because I finally got my computer working. So we're live.
Really?
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Well, we just have the regular ones from the rooms.
Okay. All right, cool. I'm in now. There we go. Perfect.
You in now?
Yep.
Oh, good evening. We've been on the air for 25 seconds. I want to welcome you all. This is my sidekick, Danielle. I'm Bob Pace. That's Danielle Watt. And the Pink Ladies, her favorite social workers. Very proudly showing off their
Thought I
t-shirts.
lost them for a minute. Oh my
They're professional kidnappers, these social workers. Yep. They work for the CPS system in Prescott, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
In 2022, they decided to do a rampage and attack the city of Prescott. They very proudly wore the t-shirts out in public. It was so offensive, they're immediately fired. The whole branch of the CPS system, which is called GCS in Arizona, we're gone. There's only one guy left. Oops, we lost the Pink Ladies. Okay.
They're coming. I'm trying to get them back on there. There you go.
Anyway, these Pink Ladies that were advertising that they're professional kidnappers and want to know where your children are at. That's the attitude of CPS. There's 8 social workers, 25 years of experience. And they're gone, as well as the director.
Yep.
And so if you want a job, there's a job opening for you in Prescott, Arizona. Guarantee
sometimes
that
you don't even have to be licensed.
Yeah. Anyway, all laughing aside, the CPS is an awful system that you're going to be in. I'm trying to add humor to this because CPS hurts. It hurts me.
Oh, yeah.
Hurts Danielle. We've been fighting it for a long time. And I've talked to over 500 people from the U.S. and we've talked to other countries. We had Liberia today. I kept calling it Libya, but it's Liberia.
Yeah.
And so we've had 2 calls in from a scout leader in Liberia. And he didn't say much, but he said thank you. And so it's worldwide. Our podcast is famous. It's worldwide now. It's worldwide.
And it's even worse in some other countries as well. Like even worse.
Oh, yeah.
It's way worse.
Yeah. ISIS has been in the news. They're having a terrible time with their kids. Sad part about it is these terrorist countries advocate child soldiers, men and girls and boys that are brought in to serve their terrorist needs and ruin their life. Their life is ruined. Okay, we have several ways you can interact with this podcast. One of the first ways is you can call me at my cell number at 626-698-0990. That's my office number, and I do answer it between the hours of 10 in the morning to 11 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time, and at nighttime from 7 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Those are the times that number is active, and feel free to call in. You'll be put on speakerphone, and you'll be able to talk to Danielle and me and the rest of the group that drops in. We have quite a following now. We have about 4 or 5 people that regularly show up every night. One of them is actually called in a lot is Faye, and she was taking her dog to the vet today, so she said she'd be on tonight. I'm just telling her reminder note that we're on live.
Yeah, I just told her.
Oh, you just did?
Yeah, she messaged me and asked me if I was going to be on, and I just told her we were live right now, so she should be joining shortly.
Okay.
Hasn't Natalia been here lately?
She's been on every day from Hollywood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess have we heard any of the other ones?
KK or Kima was on, I think, this morning.
Anything new with there?
We had the Liberia guy, Archie, from Liberia.
Liberia. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Charlene.
Learned a lot about that country. That country is on the west coast of Africa, near Mozambique. Mozambique's on the east coast. It seems like now we've had 2 countries from Africa talk to us, and we've had Mexico.
Ghana?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you ever have Ghana call in? Was it Ghana or did you
Yeah,
say?
Ghana called in once, only once.
Okay.
And they're from South America.
Okay.
So not only does this podcast talk to you about CPS, it gives you geography lessons.
Right?
You get to learn about the world, and it is a really strange place. We were looking at some of the pros and cons of where the worst case to be and where the best case to live and everything else. So,
Hey, Natalia. Natalia's
so-
welcome. Or she's in. Natalia's
oh,
here with
she's
us.
in. Good. Welcome,
Yep.
Natalia. Anyway, one way to call in is 626-698-0990. And you won't be face on there, but you'll be live talking to both Danielle and me and the rest of the group in the room. So we'd love to have you do that. Now, another way is you can write in comments. And when you type in a comment, phrase your CPS question, whether it's for a friend, yourself, or just quizzitive about it.
Hey,
Please
Natalia.
show your name, city, state, or country, and complete with your CPS case. Now, I mean country because we have them. As I say today, Liberia text in. And so we are watched on YouTube.
All over
You're
the
followed
world.
by Facebook, but we're around the world. We are broadcasting. Anybody that has Facebook will find us, Fight CPS, and they'll find my show. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rooms that are locked into the show.
Yes,
We have
Iberian
8 other
Africa, Natalia.
podcasts, people that podcast. We have about 8 or 10 of us that do podcasts, and so anyway, so when you type in the comments your CPS question, show your name, city, state, or country, and be complete with your CPS case. So that's the second way. Now, if you don't want to talk tonight, which is understandable, and you want to talk at another time, you can schedule a show to be our guest. And what I mean by schedule a show, we have a very hardworking, well, what happened to it? There it is. We have a very hardworking show producer. Her name is Grace. She works behind the scenes, and she helps you get onto the show and helps us maintain guidelines here and talk about CPS case. She's very careful what we say and what we do, and she's watching us. So I'm glad she's here and works the background, and she's helped us out a lot. And so if you want to be on the show as a guest, that means you can be on camera if you want. All you need to do, whoops, I had it there. All you need to do is send an email to the show producer, Grace. It keeps dropping off. At vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. And she will schedule your time. You pick morning or you pick evening. You pick Monday through Sunday. It's so easy. Hey, I want to be on Bob's and Danielle's show. And I have Friday evening. There you go. You're all
14 times a week.
So, yeah. So I'd love to see you. Now, is one day on Sunday, I'm on at 8 o'clock in the morning instead of 10. So that's the only exception. There may be times from time to time that I switch times around, but right now, those are the times. And I'm so glad to have you in my room, sharing your CPS case, which I know is a horrible thing. Now, we have already 11 new comments, so that's great. We got Faye. Hi, Faye. I hope your dog's okay. You took him to the vet. I want to hear about your dog. And then we have Natalie from, you're Candy Camper girl, huh? Okay.
Wonder if are you in the driveway today?
Yeah. Are you on your carpet today? It was hot today. It was hot today in the sun. So I think West Hollywood was going through a hot day today.
Wow. That's sticky hot. Oof.
Anyway, the phone number is up. And we've given you how to interact in this podcast for live. We're not attorneys. We are good-natured people. I'm a loving father. She's a loving mother. And we have children. I have 6. She has 3. And she also has a special need brother that she takes care of. And we all gone through heartaches and had bad experience in our life. But we're here to help you. We will help you get your child back as best as we can. We have heard from some of you that you have got your kids back. And I want to hear how you did and how what we gave you worked and what didn't work and what worked. I want to be able to give you the information. And
Mhm.
this is a real tough agency, especially with the attitude that those pink ladies have. You're going to be dealing with those social workers, and they are not your friend. They don't like you. They're deceitful. They're not transparent. They lie. They do revenge. Everything that's bad. They are a bogus group. They think they don't have to follow constitutional rights or civil rights. They think they can walk all over you as parents. They take your kids without your permission, or what they do is they trick you and get your permission, but they don't need to take
Mhm.
your kids. It seems 99% of the cases are called in, the children are extreme danger. My children weren't. They were at school when I got investigated. They weren't extreme danger at all. And my son that was with me at the time, I just picked him up from school. When we met back at the house, he was scared. They are bad. They're bad people. They will traffic your child into foster care system. Foster care system
No
exists.
hesitation. No hesitation.
Yes.
Like
No
quick.
hesitation. You're right. Foster care system is either a shelter, a group home, or a single family home.
And
And it can be run, and these are supposed to be people that are from an independent association that has affiliated with that county of CPS, and
you
they
know
have
what the
gone through some
government
type of training.
calls the foster care? If the kids get placed in foster care, like I've heard them say it's supposed to be their sanctuary. And it's a long ways from that. Like it should be their safe haven. And that's what they
Right.
say.
I
And
got
whether
sad news for you. I
it's
don't
not.
know if there's a safe haven for children.
Mm-mm.
Even the CASA people they assign, or the
I
ombuds
agree.
person, or I mean, I don't trust any part of anything about CPS. I
Nope.
think it's branch of social services, but it's corrupt. It's really gone downhill.
Our
Oh,
Faye was
Faye
talking
says
about
her
her
dog
dog.
may have cancer. I'm praying it's not have
Mhm.
cancer.
It
Oh
says she
boy.
had a biopsy on her abdomen, and a lot was done at the vets. And
Oh
we're praying
boy. I
this.
hope it's not
We'll
cancer.
pray
Yeah.
for you. We'll pray for
Yeah.
you. Say sorry to hear that. And then Natalia said that would be cool. The big billboard with the pink
Yeah,
ladies.
on
That would be.
Sunset Street with the pink ladies. Wow.
Look, we should. That's hey. That'd be a good wake up call for
Yeah.
people. I mean,
Faye
it'd bring
says nothing
attention for
is safe
sure.
about foster care. She is a
Right.
first-hand person in foster care. She was put into foster
Experienced it.
care 4 times in her young childhood. And then when she had children, they came after her. They came
Yep.
after her.
And that's crazy.
And she was more abused in foster care than she ever was in her home. And
It's like once you're labeled in foster care, once you've been in the system, you're stuck in the
yeah,
system. And
yeah, it's so bad. It
sad.
is so bad. My kids were abused in foster care. I know things firsthand.
God.
And so,
It's
yeah, yeah, okay,
like call us at the number on the from the billboard.
yeah.
Like that'd be it attract attention for sure. It'd catch people's attention and on a big billboard.
Oh,
I
yeah,
know
they would.
here in Georgia it
I
would
would put
definitely.
above the caption of the pink ladies and make sure that they're blown up enough to see the fronts and the backs. And I
Mhm.
would say it there. What would it say? Uh, wanted children.
There you go. Hey, and that really definitely people be like, what? And we'd get a lot of calls for sure.
Yeah, wanted
It's
children,
wild.
and I'd give them the number of the
Arizona,
Prescott, Arizona number of CPS.
they wouldn't know what to do. Lord.
Yeah, and that
Hey,
is not only the thing there. Yesterday, the day before, I forgot who told us, but there was a lady, a social worker in Chicago, Illinois, that
Mhm.
put a ad up from 1948, and it said "Black
1848.
children for sale."
Yes.
And it was sad because they're referencing that particular type of children was in demand or something. In the last 100 years, 150 years, it's been the Native American Indian, and they initiated an act called ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act, and that's supposed to protect the Indian children and the Indian families. It's also supposed to help them get their children back. For a long time, CPS was putting Native American Indian children right away into foster care and not give it a chance to the parents. So
And
Congress
what
passed
year
an act.
did all this start? Years ago, like 100 years
Well,
ago, and eight.
it started in
What was
1775.
okay?
Um, in 1775 was when it peaked with the Indian Wars. I mean, the Little Bighorn was won by Crazy Horse and his uncle, Sitting Bull. Sitting Bull and Crazy
Mm-hmm.
Horse, the Lakota Sioux, along with the Crow, or no, along with the Cheyenne, um, wiped out. And it's the only battle the Indians won, by the way. They
Wow.
wiped out all, and General Armstrong Custer from Civil War fame was killed right there. All the men were killed. And the sad part is that for many, many years, the soldiers were killing the Indians anyway. Babies and
Hmm.
children were murdered. There is so many histories of the Native American Indians. And hey, is it their fault? They were there first. They're the first immigrants.
Right.
Why can we not live with peace? I mean, gold got in people's eyes and won the Black Hills, and it's sad. And then they killed off the buffalo, and that just ended the Indians. They
Hmm.
killed billions of buffalo. I mean, there's
And
stacks
that was their
mile high that you see of buffalo heads. It's ridiculous what they
source
did
of
to the
food.
Native American Indian. But anyway, the ICWA, which is the Indian Child Welfare Act, supposedly will help you. All you do is you get your kids registered, or if you're registered as a Native American Indian, you got to be one of the 547 federal tribes that are recognized.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are registered, that's great. If you're not, you can be registered. That's even more great. And all you need to do is tell the social worker, my children are Native American Indians. I want them put into I want them put with the tribe. So you got to find the tribe. You got to locate them. They will put them with one of the Indian families they have on the reservation or on some of the other settlements that the Indians have throughout the United States. And they seem to do better getting the children back to the families. That's the whole goal. That's one thing I've been thinking about. I've been saying it's a long time. There has got to be a goal with what should be with CPS. They're supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse. And granted, there's a lot of neglect and abuse goes on, but they're also supposed to be family reunification. We need the kids with the biological parents. They are the best parents. Studies have shown they are the best parents for children growing up. And so we need to have that focus of how to help out family with needs. I mean, if they're starving, give them food stamps. If they
Mm-hmm.
need a job, do the work program. If they need cash aid for some things, help them out. That's what the social service is supposed to be doing. It was created to help out families who are struggling. Some are homeless, some are just crossed the border and gain asylum. And you got people that have been struggling and struggling and struggling. And they should be able to help all these people. If they have drug issues, there's drug treatment centers they can take care of. There's all kinds of parenting programs and anger management programs and all these special classes stuff that parents can take, and they should have a future down the road. Their plan should be how to get the kids back home. They weren't. There should be no such thing as family reunification because the children should have been taken in the first place. The only time you take a child is they were threatened, meaning that they're physically harmed going on. Like, say, a father doesn't like to cry on the baby, he slams them against the wall. That's wrong. We know that. That's wrong. And that child should be taken out of extreme danger. Or if the parent is
Mm-hmm.
drowning the kid in the bathtub, or poison a kid, or leaving a kid and go on a vacation for a week, and the poor kid starves to death, dehydrates, and is dead. And the mother comes back, why is my child dead? Well, you left him for 12 days while you were jollying down in the Caribbean. I mean,
Right.
I can't believe there's horror stories. So I'm not trying to say get rid of or abolish CPS. I just say you have to have accountability. We've had only one social worker on the show, Carol from Maryland, who talked about her CPS and how they do things. And I'd love to hear more. If any of you are CPS workers out there, the child protection system, and you're social workers and aware of it, I would love to hear from you how you do your programs, how you work with kids. What do you do when you apprehend kids? Why is it so important for you to take kids that are not in danger, immediate danger? Why can't you let them still be with the parent under supervision or monitor supervision? Why can't we work together to bring the kids and the families back together? Why? I know why. If any of you are listening, you want your bonuses, you want your money. It's a $50 billion business. You guys are making a wealth of money, and it's not necessary. You don't need $20,000 per child per month that comes from the state, that federal government. It's wrong. It's totally, totally wrong. And so we need to go out there and stand up to these people that call themselves social workers or caseworkers, or they should be somebody that's friendly. They don't like parents. They don't like seniors. They don't like elderly people. They don't like anybody. They just love to traffic children and alienate children. It's when a child is taken with these silly allegations. Some are really bad because lay people will lie, to cheat, to take care of a problem they have with their neighbor. Their neighbor is overgrowing their yard, and they decide, well, I'm going to call those people with a CPS case. There's so much of that going on. It's terrible. It really is. And so, they get bonuses and everything else. I mean, first of all, you county agencies should demand that they should have an education, maybe a major in clinical psychology and a minor in social work, or vice versa, or in social work. They need to take social work classes in college. They also need to get a license, because a license is a temporary thing, just like your driver's license. You have to renew it every so often, make sure you can drive. Well, as a social worker, you need to renew, and things change. There's new development. So they should be a licensed social worker, just like a policeman or just like a doctor. All those licenses have to be renewed. So that's what they should get there. So anyway, with that being said, I think I'm talking too much, and I think it's time that Danielle, if you have something you'd like to add about your scope of CPS and how you would like to make it a better place.
I would like the whole thing be reformed, like from scratch, like all made, like just totally done away with and then reformed. I mean, because it's just absolutely out of control. I mean, now it's got these people just think they can get these jobs and just go in and do what they want to do. I mean, even though they got what I call their Bible, their manual, the child welfare manual, but they don't go by it. I mean, and it's like nobody wants to hear us parents side. I mean, we just automatically assume that we're bad people, or we're guilty of whatever. Half the time we don't even know what we're being alleged, like the allegations against us or what we're accused of. I mean, but they can just divide these families, and I just think it just totally needs to be addressed and looked at, and I believe that the ones that have done wrong should be brought to justice, because this is going to, I mean, then you wonder about the mental health part of this. I mean, look at people's emotions. I mean, the parents and the kids, and then and what does it do to the kids? I mean, from the research studies have shown that if a kid is in foster care, they're usually in prison within 2 years. I mean, that's not what these children want for their futures. I mean, and just because of someone's negligence in the system, I mean, that works this, and they don't want to do the research or do the investigation the right way that they're supposed to prevent foster care. I believe that, I mean, it's obvious that they're just putting these kids into foster care. So they're shopping for whatever that it's all about money. Like you said, back in the, I was going to say the Stone Age, but it's not the Stone Age. What you just said about the back in they were getting Native Americans and brown people. I mean, brown kids, colored kids. I mean, it's like they shop for, but it's all about money now. It's greed.
Yeah.
Money is greed, and that's what their main focus is. It's not the safety or the best interest of these kids. And what's sad is also these kinship, not or the other ones that want to adopt these kids. They're thinking about money as well. So they do what they do to try. I mean, and then when they realize that after they make that call to CPS and say, "Hey, Danielle's over here, and anonymously, they don't really, and then once they're in and they think they got their foot in the door to get that check or whatever they're wanting, and they realize that it's not there, then that's when and never mind. But they've already started a mess based on false allegations and it's just crazy. I think the whole anonymous call thing should be done away with altogether. Texas has done it. I think everywhere else needs to do it. I mean, if you, it's just insane. I mean, it's more
It's a
like
very complex issue, and it isn't something that's going to happen overnight. And they have been
right.
trying to work on it.
Yes, they have. I do have. Yes, they have. But it's like when you go into family court, there's so much room for error and so much
Yeah.
that can be done. Now, when you're and you automatically, because I've been on both sides of the court, civil and criminal, and I'll tell you, when I sat in the court, for my kid, I felt automatic. I was like, man, this. I mean, it felt so much like criminal court, but it was like a joke because there was so much room. There were so many errors in criminal court. It's
Yes.
nothing like. So it's crazy that they try to run it like criminal court, but there are ways that, like with all this other, they can go back and amend this and do that and don't even have to tell you. I mean, in criminal court, that does not go on. You have to be precise. You have to be correct. If you're not, it throws it out. And they should be that strict in civil court as well, I believe, in family court.
Well, look what Faye wrote from Richmond, Kentucky. She says in her state, the agency can't manage the cases, the children, their finances, and they can't protect the kids in their care. And right now,
Right.
our juvenile justice department is under investigation for erroneous abuse. I guess I'm saying that right.
Yep.
Erroneous abuse of
Yep.
of
Wards.
wards and kids in state custody, as well as investigated audits
finances
of the cabinet finance misappropriation. You
Yep.
know, I'd like to talk a moment about the money part. You know, we have a government.
Can I say something, Bob?
Go ahead.
Just one thing. Okay, so there's parents out here that have special needs children, right? That are begging the state to get custody of their kids. What I mean, I don't understand that they're fighting and they can't control their kids or whatnot, and the state, and they surrender custody to the states of their children, and these kids get put in group homes and stuff. But then you got families that are willing and more than able to take care of their children, whether they're special needs or not, that are getting taken for no reason. But these parents that are surrendering their kids, what? Like, so the funding does go towards that too. But I mean, I just don't see how that could be so easy. I understand you need help, but why not get the services while you have your child? Don't just surrender them. I mean, you're their parents.
That's my rule number 3 is you do not talk to social workers, you do not let them in your home, and you do not surrender your children. And I'll talk about that in a moment.
Okay.
But what I was saying about the money part is that our Congress every 6 months is always worried about not having enough money to fund things. Well, what the Congress has got to look at is they got to look at accountability, how the money's being spent.
Exactly.
Some examples.
Exactly.
The military charges the government $1,000 for a toilet seat. That's ridiculous. That's overpriced. You know, everybody knows a toilet seat maybe $50, you know, but not $1,000. You know, and it's that kind of thing. There's a lot of waste that goes on. And on top of that, there is a cult in the Salt Lake City. I'm not picking on Salt Lake City, Utah, but there's a cult. I call it a cult because they have a weird religion. And I got Faye coming in. Right on time, Faye. And so
right in Italian,
the cult, you know, is given money, $1 million every year to produce alternative fuel. And over the last 10 years, someone investigated them. They have not produced one drop of fuel. So they got this millions of dollars given to this group, and I think it's wrong. And the same thing goes taken, the money given to the different states to finance the CPS and the counties.
Georgia, I know, gets $6,200 a month per child.
In Kentucky alone, in the Richmond area, they're doing an audit, and $400,000 was unaccountable. That Faye had told me. There, I didn't
just found something like that for Georgia.
Something, but anyway, I say 400,000.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Where did that money go? Yes, Faye, you go ahead and join us. Go ahead, Faye.
Well, actually, it's come up to more than 389,000 now.
believe
It's
it.
actually closer to 800,000 that's been misappropriated.
Oh, wow.
And there's probably going to be more too
Yeah.
as their investigation goes on. Wow.
Yeah. In regards to what Danielle was saying about why people surrender their kids to CPS when they need help with them, is because in certain states, in order to get any substantial help for your child, they say that you have to put them in state's custody in order to get them long-term
treatment,
residential facility treatment.
Yep. And it's
long-term.
If you just take your child and put them in a mental health facility yourself,
you're not going to get the help from the state.
most that they'll keep them there is 3 to 4 days.
Right, right. So you have to surrender your right. Well, not all your rights, but you have to surrender them to the state.
If you want your child to be there for a substantial amount of time, in order for them to work through their issues, get leveled out on their medicines, have some counseling, and even do family counseling while they're there, whatever the needs may be. It could take anywhere from 30 to 90 days or longer. You have to basically sign the child over to the state in order to get that long-term care help.
Do the kids eventually maybe go back to see my cousin was surrendered to the state, and he's autistic, but he's nonverbal, and now he's in a group home. But that's why, like with my son, if they want the family involved, they send my son to Texas, and it's harder, But my own cousin was surrendered to the state, and he's a nonverbal autistic, and he was very aggressive and would beat on my aunt and stuff, and my uncle, and they did that, and that's what caught my attention, because now they're fighting and bringing up a lawsuit and everything against the Department of Behavioral Health here, and I'm like, that's why I wanted a better understanding of how can they just give up their kids so easy. But here we are. There's parents out there that are more than willing and able.
I asked for all kinds of help with my son through his teenage years. I really struggled with him.
Right.
And
but they never gave you.
I put him in-home counseling, out-of-home counseling, big brothers, big sisters. I opened him up YMCA accounts. Put him in, mental health hospitals, and nothing worked. Wow. And so the option for him was long-term residential treatment facilities.
And that means he'd live away from home, right?
What that is, a lot of parents can't afford that.
Right.
So in order to get that help and the state pay for it, you have to put your child in state custody.
Wow. So, do they lose their, if it's state custody, that they still have their rights, right? Do they still have say over the child? It's crazy. Because why don't they just offer the services to, like in your case, they should have offered you the services and helped you while the child was in the home with you, because I'm sure you're more than willing to, you were asking for it. And so these long-term treatment facilities are like a waste of the finances, when they could help these parents with the kids in the home, in their natural environment, not only in wow.
There were some services that they put in the home, but they just wasn't working for him.
Some are worse.
Called KBC, and KBC didn't work out. It didn't work.
So I guess it depends on the level of maybe their diagnosis, or their maybe like autism, or let's say autism, if the level of it, like maybe that's what they go by.
Trust me, no parent wants to give their kid over to CPS. Right. That's the last thing a person wants. But sometimes that's the parent's only option.
Yeah. I would hate to think that there would be parents out there that would want to that would be their cop out. You know what I mean? And I would hate to think there would be ever parents that would ever think that way. And that's, it's a cop out for them to where they can just get the kid out of their household, period. They can go visit them all they want to, but
I'm sure that there are some parents out there that is the case. You know, I'm sure. Just like I'm sure there's parents out there that truly do abuse their kids.
Oh, right. And
there's no question about the stories every day in the newspaper are full of it.
And well, Georgia, you know how much they get a month for the kids in foster care? There's 11,000 kids in foster care, and I just calculated it. It's $68,200,000. It's 68 there's 11,000 kids in foster care in Georgia right now, and they get $6,800 a month for each kid. I saw that on. Yep. So it's so in Georgia alone. Yep. So in Georgia alone, that's how much.
Kentucky's got 10,000 kids in foster care.
So and think about that. That's a month. A month they're getting this much. Where is the money going? Like, come on. Like, that's. And these foster parents are even getting like the 60. I think it's $6,200 or $6,800 a month. That's a lot of money, especially like in Georgia. That's a lot. Like, geez. And I mean,
they say right now there's over 500,000 children across the U.S. in foster care.
Right. So let me let's do that calculation. And you said there are 500,000. That is
multiply it times $7,000.
Oh wow.
That's $35 billion, isn't it?
And they're getting that a month. And you said
a month.
Okay. Yeah, that's how much they're getting a month. That's it's
35 billion.
It's more than that, ain't it?
35 billion.
35 billion.
Yeah.
I said it's a $50 billion business.
That is great. And they're getting that a month. So all of the US, each state gets a portion of that every month. Could you imagine where is the money going? I mean, they should not have to send kids out of state to get services. They should not have to do that. They should not. The state that they're in should be. $6,200 for my son, and he's out of state and don't even get to see his family. That's
just the money for foster care. That's not the money for the CPS kids. You have to add another $20,000 onto that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For my son, I think it was calculated out because I received data. I have requested it through the child data. It's some center that you can pull data. And in Georgia, they get at least, they bank off my son. I know it's at least close to 60,000 a month. This is the guardian ad litem. He gets paid a big chunk of change. And then the caseworker, it's crazy. And they don't even show up for the meetings half the time on video. And he's out in Texas. So you wonder if Georgia and Texas both get, or do they have to divide that? It's crazy.
Well, see, what I don't understand in my state is that the federal investigation going on over the juvenile justice system here in Kentucky is investigating because of abuse, sexual assault, and neglect and even death that has occurred in the juvenile detention centers.
Oh man!
Now these kids are considered wards of the state in the juvenile detention center,
and they were like detained or something, right?
And they're ward of the state. CPS is required to make sure that those children are being cared for and protected while of the state.
Yes. It's yep.
Once again, CPS is failing to do their job.
They're not protecting. Kids are dying every day from this.
But here's the thing with that. Why is the juvenile detention centers being investigated for abuse and SA and near death and all those things?
True.
But won't investigate foster care where the same things are going on.
True. That is true.
Why are one set of children more important than the other?
Right. And why are these children being detained to be put in these facilities like the juvenile detention? Like, what have they done? Surely, come on. Like that.
There's a lot of different reasons why these kids are in juvenile justice system in the detention center. Some of them were in there for murder.
Right. Wow. It's like they need to look at what has I mean, these are America's most vulnerable children. I mean, what's going on in there that we can help them with? Like, that's what they instead of
Well, I
just
relate to
locking
them.
them away.
They're not getting any reform in there
Right.
either.
No,
They're not getting
no.
any kind of psychological help in there. They're not getting any. They're just being locked up and they're
Right.
being treated like slaves.
And you
Yeah,
know,
several months ago in the state of Indiana on the weekend, I think it was Saturday night, 11 o'clock, young children, 12 and 13, 14, were with guns shooting each other at the shopping mall.
is that what was on the news?
Yeah, that was a while back. I've talked about the story.
Yeah.
And my question is they're sitting there saying, oh, how horrible. But where were the parents? Why would the parents allow a 12-year-old or 13-year-old to go free with a gun in their hand, shooting other children at the shopping mall? I mean, you go to the shopping mall to hang out. Okay, I get that. I know what it is. Some of the food courts stay open or whatever it is there. But the parents should let kids, I'm old-fashioned, but I think that you should set a time limit. Children need to be in their home by 10 o'clock. It's a school, not a school night, but still they got to get sleep.
I mean, I'm an adult and on probation. There was a time that I was on intense and they wouldn't let me out past 10 o'clock. They told me there was no reason for me to be out past 10.
Well,
so,
the problem is between 10 and 6 in the morning.
Yep.
When a lot of bad crimes take place.
Yep. That's what I was
exactly told. And it's your sense of freedom in the darkness. You think when it's dark that no one will see you.
You're invisible. Right.
When you're invisible. Yep. The problem is that the kids have been desensitized by all the shooting games. Mm-hmm. And they just don't, they say, oh, I'll get back to life again. Well, you don't understand. Taking a gun at a mall, you could shot a little baby. It was, and this is not in California. This is not New York. This is in Indiana at a little shopping mall. I'm just trying to say this is happening to every state. They say that, CPS are corrupt to this state or that state. It's happening in every state. It isn't singularly depending where you live. And it has nothing to do with the income because a lot of these people, I imagine those parents were well-to-do. They just didn't care about their children. I mean, they allow too much freedom. It's got to start at the home. And the social media is another weak point. We allow our kids to be on the internet, and there's all these adult things on
devices
the internet.
In their faces,
and there is so easy for a 40-year-old man to pose as an 18-year-old guy and seduce a 12-year-old girl who's going through rough times.
Yep.
And that happens all the time. There's tons of pedophiles, and there's some sick people that like to pretend there's something they're not.
And the internet has endless opportunities for that.
They'll seduce a young girl, and it's just sad. It really is sad. And it comes from the home life, how they're brought up, how the parents are. It's a lot to do with the parents. And some of these things that the social workers come out to investigate is that the parents maybe weren't watching the kids close enough or something. Why would they leave a child unsupervised in a backyard? And these kinds of things are stupid. Some of the things are, but they shouldn't be treated so bad that they don't see their kids anymore.
And you would think that neighborhoods, especially if it's a big neighborhood, they would have like a neighborhood watch for
a curfew.
Yeah.
What did she say?
She says there is a curfew.
Yeah. And you would think that like the neighborhoods that are like really close knit, that they would have like a connection with that the kids are outside. Like my neighborhood was like that growing up.
Yeah.
Like all the parents would be involved.
Let Faye finish her thoughts here, Daniel. Go ahead, Faye.
Well, all I was trying to say is adding to what she was saying was in Kentucky, at least there's a curfew here. The curfew is 11 o'clock at night for kids under the age of 18.
Okay.
And if they're called out after 11 o'clock at night, the cops will cite them for being out and take them back to their parents.
That's a
and
good
then
thing.
Give their parents the citation and tell them that it's a warning that if the child is caught back out again after 11 o'clock at night, then they can face fines or jail time.
Well, they also can face CPS. The CPS hears that you have your child out.
They automatically do that. They automatically do that.
And in Georgia, there was a parents that fought that they thought that was absolutely ridiculous that they made a curfew for kids under 18 and like a couple communities or counties where I live down here, and they actually went and fought it in like the meetings and everything, and I just could
I
not
don't think
believe it.
it's ridiculous. It's
I
absolutely.
think it's a great idea. I love it that they did that, but there's a lot of that in Georgia that's not allowed. They cannot set a curfew, and that's what a lot of the
They have the
say.
money. They have the money, so that's those parents.
Yeah, and that's right, because it's the communities that are more well off. I'm all for it. Like it's sad that some parents don't want to be involved in their kids' lives. I mean, they have them, but they just let them do whatever.
Well, I'll tell you, in Kentucky here where I'm at, I'm not even gonna lie. Most of the teenagers here in this state are strung out on drugs.
Wow.
Is there not much
to, I mean, I know that scouting is one thing my kids were involved in, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, AYSO, soccer, sports things. There's got to be the schools or some of the places got to institute, they have the football programs, cheerleading camp, gymnastics. They have a lot of that stuff around me, but in a lot of states, I don't think they have, because maybe it's lack of funding or something like that. But they need to be programs for the youth to be involved in that are wholesome, that are fun, and that they can be with people their own age. I mean, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts have always been a great organization. They
YMCA.
And the YMCA, yes, the YMCA, the Indian tribes there, and so like that. So I just think that the parents definitely have to spend a lot more time. And the reason why their children may be in problems because the parents may have failed. But it's not the end of the world. They can still be corrected and still be put on the track of reunification.
I think there should be way more programs than what's already out there for kids and communities, because that's one thing that we've tried to get when I was growing up, that I was even writing like the committees and the county and the city that I lived in to bring a skate park to. And I mean, now they have like a dog walk park and, like another thing, but we wanted like a skate park, and they did build like a dirt track for bike riding that we used to ride to a county over, but they need to do more of that. Instead of just one area, it needs to be worldwide. I mean, all over.
The reason why kids turn to drugs is because it's really easy to do, and they're bored in their own world, and they're bored.
Yep,
they're bored.
Yep, especially out in like rural areas of country.
Has hardly nothing here for the kids to do.
See, that's the wrong thing. Like here it is summertime. I don't know if your kids are year-round school, but they should have summer programs.
Right.
And again, I don't know why social services couldn't be funded to give those programs. I mean, we need to have programs that are good for the youth. We need the youth to be involved in programs.
And that's where a good idea would be, like, and for the Senate with the finance department, like that idea given, like we need to write to them and say, hey. I mean, they're looking for ideas from everyone, like the ones that are struggling with CPS and this, like, where's the money going? Because that's a lot of money. That amount we said, that's a lot of money. So where is it? And there's still a big question mark.
Well, it'd be great if social services use all that money instead for themselves. Use it for programs that can help benefit the community.
Right. In the correct way instead of a selfish way, in a useless way. They're not making no changes whatsoever with in any area, especially with the money's just going to. Yeah, we don't know.
I have 12 minutes left. What would you guys like to talk? You want to talk about the rules, or you want to talk about a topic or two? What would you like to talk about?
Natalia said they care for my dog more than me. They keep giving dog food. She said, but what about me? There's like doggy daycare and everything. And animals are
doggy daycare. Faye and Danielle, you want me to go over the rules again?
What was I was going to say? The rules? Yeah. I would talk about the one and the third one, and your second one, definitely.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 rules for all your listeners, and I try to say it on every show. Rule number 1 is about getting an attorney. Rule number 2 is about doing your paperwork. And rule number 3 is not let the CPS in your home or take your children. And with the first one, finding an attorney is one of the hardest things to do for people. I know that they are financial. It's hard to hire an attorney for a retainer of $10, $15, $20,000. And I know because I had to sell my home to get the money to pay my attorney and got my kids back. But the attorneys are trained, and a good one are trained. They're fighters. And that's the hardest thing to do is that you say, well, I got an attorney. I got a court-appointed attorney. It's a waste of time. The court-appointed attorneys won't fight for you. They won't see you except the day of the hearing for 2 minutes. And then they are friends with all the other attorneys. They're not going to fight for your case. So a court-appointed attorney is wasting your time. So you need to get a bona fide trained attorney that's trained, and you need to get someone in dependency law, dependency attorney. And you do is simple. All you do, and again, I've had Danielle do this lots of times. I'm going to use Georgia, but I have Athens is a place in Georgia, and the next biggest city is Atlanta. I always say use your city you're in and the big city next to you. So let's say find in Athens and Atlanta, Georgia, a pro bono dependency attorney. And when you find it, you should get at least of 10 names, and then you're going to call at least 10 of them. You get 20 names, that's great. Just pick out the top 10. And you're going to do several things when you call in. You're going to find out if they're still in business. You're going to ask them if they have pro bono attorneys, and if they fight in dependency court against CPS. And further, you can ask them, have they ever done a civil case against CPS and won? If the answer to the last question is yes, you got a good law firm there, because most attorneys will not fight for civil cases.
And if they talk about money right off the rip, they're not
you put
good.
something on the screen. Was it
Yes.
pro bono resource?
Yeah, it's how to search in the Google, in the search bar where it's pro bono. So
thank you.
I was trying to use that as a I've had that up for a while. I just thought about it.
So anyway, you look for those attorneys, and
but if they talk about money first,
you've gone through them and talked to them, then you want to pick out 5 or pick out 4, and those 4 are the ones you're going to have a consultation with. And one of the 5th one is going to be Vincent Davis. He can be talked to, and his number is you can call in. His number is let me see here. I have to take out. Okay. He can be called in at 888-888-6582. And that's the law offices of Vincent W. Davis. He's the one that produces this podcast, and many thanks goes to him. But you call that number and say you want to schedule a consultation with him, and he'll do a consultation for 30 minutes for $60. Also, you can go on the website at Calendly, CALENDLY.com/law office of VWD/Bob Pace. And that will take you to his calendar, and you can schedule a consultation. Make sure when you call in that you mention my name, Bob Pace. And when you talk to Mr. Davis, mention my name, Bob Pace told you to call you. So that's his phone number, 888-888-6582. So there you go. You got one attorney. He has 35 years experience as a trial attorney and a CPS dependency law attorney. He has fought them. He's also filed lawsuits and won both in federal and state courts. So he's the guy. He's the real deal. And he has his own podcast, and he's able to talk to, and you can talk to him, and he'll help you navigate through CPS. CPS is not your friend. They are you're like Alice in Wonderland. You fall in that rabbit hole out in the garden, and you've gone through nothing but doors or rooms that go nowhere. And that's what CPS is. They just are so corrupt, and they treat you so bad. It's really a shame what I've heard them do to people. And to have vendettas is so sad. For them to have a vendetta because you're in foster care as a young child, then come after you, as happened to Faye, is wrong. It is totally, totally wrong. So with that being said, you can call in and speak to an attorney right there. Then once you've gone through all 5 of the attorneys you have consultation with, then decide which one you want, the chemistry. But your life will be so much better, because if you need heart surgery, are you yourself going to take a knife and cut your cavity open? Are you going to get Danielle to come over there and open your heart to do your heart surgery? No.
No.
Are you going to get an auto mechanic that works on cars to do heart surgery? Or are you going to get a plumber? The reason I'm being sarcastic is that it's so ridiculous not to think, but fighting CPS is like a heart surgery. You need a professional doctor. That's why you need a professional attorney. You need someone who's gone to law school that has, learned all about the law and has done passed the state bar exam and maybe has followed somebody for so many years. And so I really think that you need the attorney and you'll see yourself change. I did. I waited. You can be okay, Faye?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, poor Faye's having a hard time breathing. I know. I wish I could blow some cold ocean breeze over your way. Anyway, that's my rule number one. My rule number two is real simple and short. It's paperwork. If you don't have paperwork, you need to get paperwork because you need to consolidate it and organize it. And all you need to do is a 6-inch 3-ring binder, stuff it full of notebook paper, college rule, and then get some dividers, subject dividers, and label them. And one of them is going to be your incidents. And as you have each incident happen, you just record the date and time and the people that are involved. The first line, the second line is what the incident is about, and the third line is the outcome. And you repeat that, skipping some lines and so forth to keep track of it. So a year later, 2 years later, you can look back and you'll see it. Use highlighters, pink and yellow highlighters to highlight things that are important to you and stuff. Mm-hmm. Another subject could be a subject tab could be where all your programs and parenting classes you've taken, all your psychologist meetings or your drug tests and things like that. Mm-hmm. You can, put the certificates, put all that stuff in there, hole punch it, put it in there. And that's another one. A third subject could be info about you find about CPS, websites, phone numbers, people you talk to, and so forth. That could be that section. So your sections are anything to do to make it work for you so that you have this big book. And when you meet with the attorney or you come to court or something, you can refer to it. Put in all your paperwork in there too and all that. So that's the important thing about paperwork. You need to write it down because you will not remember it 6 months from now. And the case will go for years. The third one, and the one that is the worst one that I hate to talk about because I see that poor man, the black man from Florida, who was murdered by a Gainesville sheriff in Gainesville, Florida. And all he did is answer the door. So I want you to think about that. Don't answer the door. If you hear a knock, get away from the door. You don't know who it is. Furthermore, if they want to get a hold of you, they'll leave their business card or they'll send you a letter or they do a phone call. But you need not to answer that door because if you do, then you're going to talk to them and they're going to go there. But another thing is you could be shot at the door. This guy answered the door and the sheriff shot him point blank, 5 bullets. And the boy died talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime. That's a horrible way to go. And I don't want to see any of your parents do that. And think of that. Don't answer the door. And that goes for policemen or them. The only time they can come in is they have a warrant and they got to show you the warrant. And if you're hidden in the house, they can't come in. So a warrant is a legal document that's got to be properly signed and properly filled out. And on it, it's got to have the name of the individual, the children, what the allegations are, what they plan to do, take the child, investigate your home or talk to you. And then it's got to have the address and the day and time they can come to your home. And it's got to be signed by the wet signature and an embossed stamp. Down there by the wet signature, make it look official. It's got to be done by a judge in court. So that's what a warrant is. And that's the only way they can go in there. So I'm going to leave you with that picture of that fine young man. He's an Air Force vet. He died for nothing. He died for nothing because of the mistake in place. And he was shot. Yes, he had a gun in his hand, by the way, but it was at his side. He wasn't pointing at the officer. He was
pointing at the ground.
So anyway, I got to get ready because it's gone. And now it's 3 minutes after. So I want to thank Natalie for texting in and making all your comments available to us. You wrote a lot of comments and stuff.
Mhm.
Faye, I want to thank for all your advice. You're so instrumental. I hope your dog, I'll pray for your dog doesn't have cancer, and I hope your
Mhm.
breathing gets better. And thank you for sharing everything in there. And lastly, I want to thank Danielle, my co-host here,
Mhm.
along with Faye. You girls are great. You're awesome. And I want to thank you all for taking the time. And I want you all, everybody in the room, to think about you will get your kids back. Think positive. We pray
Mhm.
for you. You're beautiful people. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. This is
Goodbye,
Bob,
everybody.
Faye, and Danielle
Good
signing
night.
off. And you ladies
Good
don't
night,
go
everybody.
anywhere. You ladies don't go anywhere.